Hello, Grace Day.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm very well. You have a book, Comfort Eating, based on your podcast.
Yes.
So, I mean, I feel like it could just be called Carbs.
There is not a lot of protein in this book. It's about the things that we eat when nobody's looking, the things that give us comfort and joy, the things we cobble together when nobody's looking. So there's a lot of bread, a lot of potatoes, lot of pasta, tons of butter, because butter makes everything better, sweet things. Nobody ever gets in at the end of a very long, depressing day and starts rustling up a haunch of venison. Do they?
My favourite, we use the word recipe loosely. My favourite recipe is Siobhan McSweeney's, where you cook it in your mouth.
But it actually goes very deep, because she brought Siobhan McSweeney from Derry Girls, Sister Michael. She was called Sister Michael,
yeah.
wonderful woman, and you get the Tayto crisps, cheese and onion. You get the Guinness. You get the dairy milk. You put it all in your mouth together. You chew it all up. And she said to me, there, that's it. That's the taste, she said, of being taken to the pub by my dad when I was a little girl and being given some chocolate and having the froth off the Guinness. So these things, although they are often quite disgusting or out of tins, cold things out of tins, they're about childhood. It's about childhood. I think that these things are the things we do alone, though. No, the essence of comfort eating is that thing. We only do it for us. You would never say to somebody, oh, you must come round and I'll do my famous Rivita with silver skin pickled onions and cheese and chive cottage cheese. It's these things that give us solace at the end of a very long day. Life is tough.
Had you ever heard of Jo Brand's comfort eating treat before?
Jo Brand brought to my house for my podcast, she brought a fried bread sandwich.
And I thought I knew what that was till I read the recipe.
No, the recipe it doesn't sound like much, but if you think about it, she's taking a piece of, that white bread that we're made to feel terribly guilty for eating. You buy it sheepishly from a newsagent. That white bread, she takes the crusts off and she fries that in flagons of butter until it's delicious, and then puts it between two more pieces of this white bread. loads of brown sauce, brown ketchup, what's it called? HP to give it its name. It's just that it's buttery and it's fruity, and she always identifies that with when she first moved out from home, and she'd go and she was living in a shared flat, and she'd come in after hangovers. That lovely, your first shared flats, and you get up in the morning and you just dissect the night before. Or you've kissed a boy, you've no idea what he looks like. You have to ask your friends what the person looks like, and you're sitting there with your fried bread sandwich, rather.
No, fried egg seems possibly haute cuisine now. An egg? Are you mad? I love that. Just putting a bread, like literally a bread sandwich. That's
bread
genius.
Sandwich. But then I think in this country, we've been bombarded by sourdough, haven't we? So everywhere, and sourdough is lovely and it has its place. But everywhere we go, we're given this bread that's actually slightly difficult to eat. And we go, and we're scared to say, give us a couple of slices of that plastic stuff that would salt,
But also, I love the plastic stuff, because I remember being in the back of the car with my mum, and you could take the middle of the bread, and then you keep pressing it till it becomes dough again.
Doughy.
Oh,
yes.
Lovely.
But I love that you're there, and this is the whole point of the book. You're accessing a memory that if I'd said to you, today, why don't we talk about that? You would say, no, I don't want to reveal these things about me. But the moment I ask whoever it is, James Norton or Russell Tovey or Stephen Fry, whoever came onto the moment I asked them, what is the chocolate bar that you would buy at the newsagent if you just went there now? They will immediately choose that thing that gave them solace at 10 o'clock in 1984 when the bell went at school. And they went to the tuck shop, and they'll tell me some beautiful story about their parents or their teachers. And I just think food unlocks memories that we can't get at normally.
And has there been anything that anybody's brought you where you've gone, no. I'm
Yes.
sure that gives you comfort, but I cannot eat it.
I mean, absolutely. Look, Laura Whitmore. Sorry, Laura, if you're listening to this and you go, will she stop mentioning this? It's with a reason. She bought filthy, soily raw mushrooms, snapped the cap out, and then just put warm mayo out of a squirty bottle into it and then ate them. You know, she's such a beautiful creature. She just is like a goddess.
Yes.
Until you see her eat those mushrooms, or like a velociraptor, like a little baby velociraptor, just blah, and then done. I have had somebody bring that really spongy, rubbery kebab meat that we only ever eat at 1 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
after a few.
Yeah.
And they brought it stone cold sober, and they were a celebrity on one of those diets where they don't eat any carbs or fat. They wouldn't let themselves have the pitta or sauce, so they wanted it smeared with avocado. So telling. So
There seems
telling.
very little comfort in that.
We do get a lot. I mean, we had Nadia off Bake Off the other day, and she had, Smash.
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember Smash?
I love
For Mash,
Smash.
make Smash.
Yeah.
So she used the Smash as kind of a conduit to put loads of mayo and butter and salt and cheese into it. Chili flakes, can of tomato sauce over the top.
It seems to me talking about food is relatively easy.
Mm.
How hard is it to write about food as much as you do?
I think that for me personally, the only skill I have is being able to churn out copy like some sort of robot. I can't do any other. I'm not employable in any other field. So I think that as a restaurant critic, I've always said that my job first is just to be able to write copy that people want to read. And secondly, to wow them about the food. I think that as a columnist for anything, whether it's cars or opera or whatever, you really just need to be able to keep on doing it and keep people coming back. But I love writing about food. I love it. Do you know what I love writing about more? Restaurants.
But I think what you do, because I think by and large you do far more good reviews than bad reviews.
Yes, definitely.
And is that a thing now? Because I think it was a time when people became critics because it was so fun to do really vile copy and jokes. It was very funny to rip a place apart, and you
Yes.
don't seem to do that.
I do sometimes. I definitely do feel cross and write the truth sometimes. But is it fun? Is it fun going in and having... First of all, I've had to have the bad meal, which is still a night out of my life, which I've wasted good mascara and lipstick on, and said to one of my friends, hey, let's go to this wonderful place, and then had a horrible time. So that's not fun. The second thing is the staff, everybody that was on that night... They all know, they're all waiting for this piece of writing to come out. That's hard.
yeah.
It's really hard if it's a very big, very expensive restaurant backed by people that have got billions of pounds and it's awful, it's kind of fun to just say the absolute truth.
Yeah.
But if a restaurant owner has taken you round his new restaurant with his baby in his arm, on his hip, showing me the beautiful chandeliers he's had imported. Do you think it's fun to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning with an empty, that you're grimacing, an empty Word document, and then drink a pint of Gold Blend and then actually say the truth? No, it's absolutely horrible. However, I have to tell the truth. I'm not writing the column for the good of my own health. I'm writing it for people who 90% of the time may never ever go to any of the restaurants that I talk about, and they're just there vicariously. But occasionally they go, let's go out for a birthday. Let's go out for our anniversary. Where does Grace say is nice? And I desperately don't want them to get ripped off for 250 quid, because that seems to be increasingly very easy to spend in a restaurant, which sounds preposterous.
It does, doesn't it?
It sounds £250.
Yeah. It sounds made up.
It sounds like there's a huge amount of money, but these days, once you've had a couple of opening cocktails and a bottle of wine and some, so you know those shared plates we get given, which is just one anchovy on a plate. It's for sharing.
Have you eaten here before? Oh, here's trouble.
Let me talk you through the concept of the menu. They say you're going to need hundreds of small plates, and then we're going to empty all of the money out of your bank account. So I write for those people. I don't write for the restaurant world.
And is it harder now that you're known? Now that you,
Yes.
because, yeah.
Yes, it's harder because, I mean, in the early days, I could nip in and out of places and people wouldn't see it was me. But now, if somebody has spent millions of pounds on a restaurant, they know to photograph a picture of me and put it in the kitchen, which somebody has inevitably put devil's horns on. And ruder words, but they know it's me, and this is why people say to me all the time, everywhere I go, "Oh, I'd love to eat with you, Grace, anytime," and I say, "No, you wouldn't, because it's chaos. You walk through the door, and suddenly the people who were about to serve your table just disappear.
Yeah.
They're taken away. Where are they escorted to? And there's just this palpable chaos that's going on in the room."
Suddenly a man in a suit is serving you.
Yes.
And very, very quickly before we go, I don't know, did you fall into it? Or was it something you wanted to do?
I always wanted to do it, but I absolutely knew that these jobs didn't go to people like me. They went to quite austere men who spent their childhoods in Tuscany. So it was complete fluke. I was offered to cover for somebody at one point after being a journalist for about 20 years. And I thought about 4 seconds and I went, yes, I want it. And they will prize this job out of
I
my
know.
cold hands.
Look at you now.